down. Fly on the wall in the White House. Knows what goes around comes around. Num 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 num. Num 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 num. Num 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 num. Num 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 num. Fly on the wall in the White House. Knows it's coming and it's going down. Fly on the wall in the White House. Knows what goes around comes around. Hamas will feel our wrath tonight, warns Israel as it unleashes unprecedented airstrikes on the Strip. IDF steps up ground operations and tells Palestinians to flee south now as the invasion looms with phone lines and internet cut across the city. So on top of the power and, of course, the lack of power there, now they are cutting all kind of outlets out of the country, and now they are saying that they are going to be going in. Many people are kind of, frankly, wondering what the heck is going on here. Why didn't they do this ground invasion like the second day after they said they had 24 hours to get out? But then there, of course, were all of these political reasons why it couldn't happen, the hostages that it couldn't happen, this and that. I'm starting to feel like they are loading up, deployments of U.S. soldiers before things go forward, because I think they believe something bigger is going to happen, or they mean for something bigger to happen. We're going to talk about the deployments tonight, and of course, this is a big words. And again, we've heard so many different countries that have kind of big words, but nothing happens out of it. I don't feel like this is going to be the case with this one, because this is the Holy Land in an actual conflict, and they're literally doing what they say they're doing. As far as all of the propaganda that is going on right now, it is much and many, and it is everywhere. But it says, will feel Israel's wrath. A top political advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu warned two Israeli warplanes tonight unleashed airstrikes of unprecedented intensity across all parts of the Strip. It says the relentless bombardment came as Israeli defense chiefs confirmed IDF troops were, quote, expanding operations across the enclave in a move military experts say signaled the impending full-scale ground invasion of the territory. So they're saying that this is the preceding events to happen before they actually go in. I see lots of shadiness across the board with everything that is going on right now and how quickly everything is escalating. It seems like this is like going along a movie script or something. So we're going to talk about all of that tonight here on our Marfoogle News Update. Now, before we get going, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over to the website. You will find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Again, some of the stuff that we are talking about here is, of course, the views of those who wrote it, but we are going to be covering it and giving you our opinion, and we make sure to try to clarify between. As far as the sources for today's show, we make sure to source our work and always give you access to every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. So that is all there, including any kind of tweets, videos, pictures, satellite photos, images, whatever we're going to be having here, you have access to, and you can actually grab a second device and follow along. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So as far as some of the big words from leaders there, they are saying that they're going to expand this, and there have been a lot of things that happened today. So we've been covering over the last couple of weeks the major deployments from U.S. forces, including our Navy. Of course, if you're new here and this is the first show you've ever watched, we actually had a family friend, son, who's in the Navy, say that they were deployed and they knew they were getting deployed. They told their parent to basically get ready, to have a plan, to have food. The same person said 6 months ago that war was an exaggeration, that nothing was going to happen, and if they did, he would probably know about it. Well, apparently now he knows about it. There's a lot of chatter going through the military communities, and they knew about going to Iraq and Syria before the October 7th event. There were deployments, and there were rumors of deployments way before. We're talking a month before this event happened. They knew they were going to that very specific area. And again, I would love for somebody to prove me wrong that all of these military knew this. That would be great, because otherwise, what were they going there for? Were they going there for some other thing, to protect an asset or whatever? I don't frankly believe it, but again, now it's all coming clear. We have ships that are going in place, and we talked about this over the last couple of weeks, but now they're actually doing something that we didn't expect. So before the show, I actually saw that there were satellite images from a Twitter account
Duan Dong, and I'll show you that here in a second. Let's see here. Well, let's see here. Let me go over this right here. The path that they're taking. So this is Duan Dong, considered a maritime expert or self-proclaimed maritime expert, and he has access to some of these satellite photos. Now, the boats were getting there, and we'll talk about here in a minute why it's strange where they are. It's actually, they are in the Red Sea now, but they're going the wrong direction, or at least the wrong direction to what we thought they were going. So we'll tell you why that's important here in a second. But first, missile strikes Egyptian Red Sea town on Israel border. This is going to become very important, again, with what's going on. It says a missile launched as part of fighting between Hamas militants and Israel struck an Egyptian resort town about 220 kilometers from the Strip early on Friday, Egypt's Al Qahira News reported, citing sources. It says the missile hit a medical facility in Taba, injuring at least 6 people. So this isn't something that just landed off in a field somewhere, or at least that's what they're saying. They are saying that this actually hit in Egyptian town, in a resort town. So this is not good as far as bringing them in. They already have been talking about how, they have been getting involved in different ways, and now there's all of a sudden missiles landing. And at the same time, kind of crazy timing, we have 2 ships that just arrived right near there. So, or they're actually going to be right outside of Egypt. Right now, a lot going on. Before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. There's a lot of events that could possibly happen, but EMP is one of the most probable as far as all of the crazy things that could happen. This is actually one of the most realistic ways any of our foes could attack us because it doesn't directly take lives. And that event would be an EMP, or an electromagnetic pulse. But besides that, an EMP shield can protect you against a solar event or a Carrington-level event from the sun. So this has double protection, and it will make sure that anything that runs, your car, your truck, your motorcycle, your boats, your RVs, or even your home or your generators, will still run after either an EMP or all 3 phases of an EMP or multiple EMPs or a Carrington-level event from the sun. So this is a really easy device to put into your vehicles. It's a red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and then, of course, green to ground, so a part of your frame. Then it will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device, and you'll be able to get home to bug in or to get out to bug out. If you're a prepper, then you most likely already have one of these wired in. Also, they have a home version that will protect everything plugged into your walls within 250 linear feet of where it is wired in. So very, very good, and you get $50 off when you use our code. You're not only helping our independent news, because we are on our own, no multi-channel network, no nothing, but you will also be getting a huge discount on every device you get. That's marfugglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, MARF. So, Dex. So, first of all, we'll go into the ships here in a second, but we have a terror base. We have the stuff going on with Egypt, and then we have the terror base is hidden beneath the largest hospital, or at least this is what's being alleged. Do you want to go over those?
Well, yeah, there were some very large explosions today. A lot of people were talking about, and specifically what was in the first article. They talked about potentially they were unleashing bunker busters. So when we talk about this, keep that in mind. But as far as the missiles that struck Egypt, these were, I guess, they would call them errant missiles, or they're claiming it came from the militants there in the Strip, and that they were trying to aim for a different direction, and it didn't happen, and they ended up hitting a place that is occupied or inside Egypt's land. It's a specific small area that lies in between this region. So that kind of stuff, when it happens, can get a little hairy when other countries then get involved. Not that Egypt's not involved in this; they're very much involved, just in a different way. But now they've got missiles landing on them. So pay attention to what happens there. But as far as the base, the hidden base, this is what they've come out with saying, and maybe this is to justify some of the tunnel bunker busters, or whatever you want to call them. But they're saying that, hey, they believe, they being is saying that they believe from an IDF spokesman that the largest section of their base is of the Hamas base is underground, and it happens to be underground near the largest or underneath the largest hospital in the entire region. Convenient, I guess, or inconvenient for the people that are in the hospital, obviously. So something like 1,500 beds and 4,000 staff members are in the Al Shifa Hospital, the largest medical care facility in the Strip. So that just, again, talks about the difficulty and the predicament, I guess, that you're in when you're trying to target the bad guys, and the bad guys happen to be hiding underneath, a large civilian center like a hospital like this, according to the IDF.
Yeah, and you can obviously see where this would head if they're hiding things under hospitals, where it has been, and it's pretty crazy. Speaking of crazy, look at what is happening in the world. Now, I'll just play kind of a second of this. This is incredible stuff. Now, I'm not going to play too much. Show you a couple screenshots. This is at, I believe, the Iraq, on the border between Jordan and Iraq. So, yeah, they're lighting fires and they're chanting, and it's a symbolic kind of scene here with all the red going on. But yeah, it's getting fire hot, literally. And then we have the ships. Now, this took a bit of our time before the show. Dex and I were looking at this, and I know Dex was surprised because we both at first felt like this was something that was already known, right? We covered this a week ago, that we had the ships go out of Norfolk and where they were headed. So, Dex, we went through this, and we found that they're not exactly where we thought they would be. In fact, we have satellite images that show that they're pulling up in the Red Sea right now.
Yeah. So, I guess they are where they're expected to be, in the sense that that's where they should have traversed. I think we just thought they would be there a lot sooner. And based on some of the information we've had, we thought that they were already there. So what you're seeing right now on screen is the location of the USS Bataan, and I also believe the Carter Hall is accompanying it in that location. Those are the amphibious groups that were, as we were talking as of a few days ago, were already in the Eastern Mediterranean, but technically they weren't. Nobody knew. At least a lot of the media had been reporting that they were there with the Ford being the carrier group. Now, the Eisenhower is the one that left Norfolk, and we had expected it to be there Friday if it was going full speed at its top speed, but it didn't happen. It ended up just making it to the entry, or near the Strait of Gibraltar area, by Friday, which is a lot further away than I would have expected. And the only thing I can come up with is maybe they didn't run full speed for various reasons. Maybe they're loaded down. Maybe they're too heavy to run full spead. I don't know. I'm not in the Navy. I don't know how that works. But yeah, go ahead.
And why would they be loaded down? Why would they? So if they are going, and by the way, ships like this can go slow because of enemy ships or a submarine, or if they want to go quiet. We've all seen, if you're not in the Navy, then the only way you would see this is in movies or in television or documentaries, where they go down to a very, very slow speed, and in fact, they tell the whole ship to literally be quiet. There's been times where ships literally have to go so quiet where you don't drop a wrench, or you could be spotted. If they're actually in combat, and if they're trying to hide from somebody, they will go, I forget what the term for it is, but they'll go absolutely silent. There's different codes where the whole ship will literally be silent. Nobody will talk. Nobody will drop a wrench, because different sorts of sonar and things like this can hear anything. So they'll go into quiet mode and they'll cruise. They go very, very slow for that, and it takes forever to go anywhere. You can imagine how big these ships are. They don't go very fast in the first place, but how slow they were going either says that they've had several things along the way where they went slow. Maybe they drilled or exercised going slow or going quiet, or they are extremely overloaded, meaning that they have a bunch of stuff in these. These are amphibious drop ships. So these are amphibious assault carriers. In fact, these are the same kind of ships, and I don't know if either one of these is the one that caught on fire, but if you remember a few years ago, we had a very suspicious thing happen where China's In fact, I don't know if it was U.S. first or China. Dex, can you check if it was the Chinese one that happened first? But either way, a Chinese amphibious assault carrier, the exact same, the ones with the very big back end that actually has an open ramp that they can drop boats out the back. They can drop vehicles, all sorts of stuff out of the back. Those ships caught fire in a Chinese port. Then a few months later, we had an amphibious assault carrier, the same type of boat, ship, get caught on fire in our port. And it was extremely suspicious. If people think that those are not connected, then I think you're loopy. These ships both had the same kind of thing where both caught on fire and both stayed on fire for 3, 4, 5 days, specifically like it was an oil fire or something. But they said that there was no accelerant in our version of it. We don't know much about theirs. And then they also blamed this Patsy guy, this young 20-year-old Navy soldier. They picked him and said, you did this. And then we followed it through where everybody else forgot about it. Mainstream forgot. And they just assumed that this guy did it. He ended up getting off on all charges. He didn't do it. So we never got an explanation of why this thing caught fire. Now, why would one of these catch fire? Or how, right? Some folks even thought that it might have been something from space being tested, like some sort of space weapon or something like that. Nobody understood like why this thing, it's not exactly filled with frilly curtains or something, caught fire for 4 or 5 days without an accelerant, and why it was just a couple months after China had the exact same ship. It was a tit for tat. If people don't think that, then I don't know what are the odds of 2 assault amphibious carriers catching fire, not in a battle, but in port, in 2 different countries. Like that was probably an act of war that they covered up and called each other or did something and made up some BS story. Oh, it was a 20-year-old kid. Well, the 20-year-old kid got off. Dex, go ahead.
Just to clarify, or not clarify, but to confirm, it was April 11th, 2020. That's when the China ship, and then shortly thereafter, in July of 2020, the 12th of July 2020 is when the Bohm Richard in San Diego Bay caught fire.
Yeah, almost exactly 3 months after China's ship caught fire, which could have been testing of like a DE weapon or something. We had our ship catch fire in the same fashion, and it stayed on fire forever. And they said when we were covering that, it didn't even say that the fuel caught fire or anything. I don't believe anything they said about that. But my point is, these ships are very important for missions like this. And it almost felt like they were both sabotaging each other so that things couldn't progress, because they know if they don't have this ship or that ship that they're not going to be able to do certain kinds of missions. Now we have these, and they're all in good condition. Now these amphibious carriers are heading to this area. Not only can they drop ships, kind of like World War II, but they can also do all sorts of different missions with these. They can launch all sorts of stuff out of these. And now they're at the Red Sea, and they went slow. Does that mean that they are fully loaded? Is there a lot more being deployed than what we think? That's what I think. And again, this is the path, and we followed it through. We followed it through Google Maps. Essentially, this is the path that this ship took. Dex, and it did come up from where we can't see is East Coast.
So that path that we're showing, to clarify, the path that we're showing on the screen is the path that we're understanding the Eisenhower is supposed to take. It's supposed to go into the Mediterranean from coming across the Atlantic, then go through the Suez Canal, and then go around over by Iran, presumably into the Persian Gulf, because they originally said it was going to stop and stay in the Eastern Mediterranean, but they're moving it to CENTCOM. So that means it's moving around probably to the other side of Saudi Arabia, in between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which is what those lines represent. The image we showed before is sort of the opposite, and it's not the Eisenhower, it's the amphibious ships, the Baton and Carter, which were somewhere in that region, but for some reason they hung out. They didn't go forward. Now, there's some speculation that maybe they needed a destroyer to help them when they're going through that. There's a strait there near Djibouti, which is really dangerous. Maybe they wanted a destroyer there to accompany them. That was one thought that I think was proposed by one of the watchers of this. But nonetheless, as we see in these recent satellite images, those amphibious ships are right now just entering the Red Sea as of, maybe 10 hours ago, 11 hours ago. So they actually have to traverse. And if you, to give you an idea of when they get into range, they need to get to the top of the Red Sea. Ideally, they're going through the Suez Canal at the top of the Red Sea and into the Mediterranean to sit next to or with the Ford carrier group that's already there. But they won't get into range until they're in the northern section. And if you zoom out on this image, you can see that the longest range, I think, vehicle they have on there is the F-35, which is 1,000 miles. And that is one way. So without refueling in the air, it's only going to be able to go about 500 miles. And that would be stretching it.
Yeah. So as far as this now, and then we have deployments all over the place. Like, so we knew that there was a lot more than we thought. Now there are literally deployments happening, and this is exactly what I was saying. I mean, like, we knew this was going to happen, and I am expecting more and more. All of the military group, and it's, by the way, I don't have a crystal ball, but we have a lot of military members in the Foogle fam. We have a lot of current and active and retired military members here. They're all saying the same thing. This is going to be way bigger than everybody thinks. And early on, you guys are all following this, and you guys know this right now, and you're trying to tell your friends and family. They're not going to listen. They've been through so much over the last 10 years that we can't tell what's going to be big and what's not going to be big. This is World War III. And I got kind of tired of just, saying, oh, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It is. This is what World War III looks like. It gets to you when people are telling you all the time, oh, no, it's this and it's an exaggeration. But my gut has always been right on this stuff. And it should be for you too. Like, all of our guts tell us that this is way bigger than you think. The deployments, they are going out from everywhere. And like I said, my side theory, and this is my crazy tinfoil theory, is that when they deploy 500, 900, 2,000, they tell every person in that deployment, and they're, of course, going to only be with 100, 200, 1,000 people in their deployments or their planes. They tell them, you're part of a group of this. And probably the biggest plane, I don't know how many they carry, 500, 600, however many, they only think that they're the ones being deployed. So if they tell their friends and family, oh, I'm being deployed, I'm part of this, and then people go to the news and they go, oh, there's 900 being deployed. And they just happen to know one of those 900 soldiers. Well, they could tell that to bases across the country, and there could be tens and tens of thousands, and they might be minimizing it for national security. They could be keeping it classified that they're actually deploying way more. I believe that there are way more being deployed, and then by a certain day, all of a sudden they'll say, oh, there's 20,000 there. The reason why I think they do this, obviously, is because you don't want the enemy knowing too. And I'm not telling the enemy anything that they don't know. I bet you they've got satellite photos tracking all this. But the other reason why they would hide it is because they don't want people to panic. They don't want people to know it's World War III until way after. If you think about World War II, they didn't call it World War II until the very, very end. That's what's so crazy, is the entire world was getting involved in the same fashion it is now, and people didn't want to name it that. It's a very powerful thing with words, but they didn't want to call it a world war in World War. That's exactly the same thing is happening now. I mean, we are repeating history in so many different sections. It's crazy. From, now we're supporting a conflict over here, a conflict over here. We're sending gear. We're sending all of these things. The different part here is we are physically deploying. Our soldiers got hurt. Now, if you look at Egypt, they possibly just got pulled in because missiles landed and actually injured their people. Look at all of the different places. Now we just struck a place in Syria. Everybody's about to get involved. Not to mention, you have the leaders of these places meeting with the place that is already at war, meeting with Vlad. You've got Vlad meeting with Xi last week. Everything is connected. There's a connector every point of the map. Everything is connected now. Even the countries they're not talking about said, watch Japan. This is all going down. Mind you, I said that guy would end up perished last night. We'll have an update on our other show about the card guy, the guy that took the lives of almost 20 people or more. They keep changing the numbers. I told you last night. You guys remember the show last night? I said, I guarantee if they find him, he's going to be gone. He's going to be taken out. And of course, we find out today he was, and he left the note behind and all that. So we'll talk about that later. But Dex, as far as the deployments, we're seeing all sorts of these things pop out, and we already know there's multiple bases involved. So they are publicly telling us about some deployments. I think that it is actually a lot more than what they are saying.
I agree. I think we're going to see, what they're not even counting is the number of service members that are on, say, a carrier group, and there's 2 carrier groups involved. That's like 5,000 apiece. So that's 10,000 more numbers. When all they've really said is, "Oh, we've got 2,000 here and 900 there." But and I think even these amphibious teams probably carry about 2,500 apiece. So those are pretty big as well.
Debbie Pendleton says 300,000 troops deployed. I don't know what the actual number is, and again, but I do believe I know so many people that are being deployed right now, and obviously, it's like, what are the odds that just happen to know all these people that don't know each other, and they're all separate bases, separate parts of the country, and they're all going the same place, and they're just all part of this 900? I just personally know at least 6 people getting deployed right now, including a personal family friend's son. So and they're in all different branches too. So I don't believe it. I personally don't believe it. What do you guys think? Again, let me know in the comments down below. They may be doing it for national security. They may be keeping it classified until later. I'm confident that this is going to go way out of control, and that's not a good thing. That's why, from a prepper standpoint, all of us are trying to have a basic plan to have extra food, extra water, extra things on hand. Everybody should have this already. You should have some sort of plan with your family to meet up if something goes down, even if it's a 0.1% chance, and you think it's the last thing that's going to happen. You should have some sort of basic plan. Dex, go ahead.
Adam, I got a semi-breaking article that's very relevant to what's going on. If you want to grab it, it's in the screener.
So Chad was saying breaking news, and said they've been watching too much of Steve something. I forget his name. Steve, what's his name? He's got the channel. Steve Lookner.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if this is what they were talking about. This is
funny.
Just something I saw that just recently. That's maybe about a couple hours old on the update.
Well, I was looking here while you were covering that article. I was looking to see if there was anything breaking. Let's see here. So let me grab that article out of there.
Yeah. So what's happening here is they're saying that they're doing a halt. The United States is stopping an issuing export licenses for civilian bang bangs and ammunition for 90 days. So this is not going to necessarily affect us here in the States if we want to go to the store and buy that stuff, but it's the ability to export that out. And they're saying it's because of national security. So to what extent this plays into the thought that our civilian-based weapons and civilian-based ammunition is exported and being used by others that could be used against us, that's what it seems like to me. But that's the headline that just came out. It's being reported from Reuters. It's coming from the Commerce Department said today.
What?
That they're putting this halt on it.
Okay, so is this a giant deal like I think it is? Okay, so the U.S. has stopped. What? Wait a second. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna ask chat too. Chat, will you chime in? Really think about this. U.S. has stopped issuing export licenses for most civilian firearms and ammunition for 90 days for all non-governmental users. Are they trying export Dex? Okay, can we just break this down? They are not letting them export any weapons out of the U.S. So to what? Keep them here? So they're not letting those weapons leave the country. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing, except for governmental users. And they go on to explain it includes things like shotties and even optical sights. And they said an urgent review will assess the risk of anything being diverted to entities or activities that promote regional instability, violate human rights, or fuel criminal activities. So there's a reason they're doing this, and it's I think they're maybe trying to close the loophole in civilian-based products being used against us or being used outside.
So some might think that this is maybe related to this guy that took out a bunch of people. My mind is more like they're preparing for a war, and they don't want these weapons going anywhere else. They want to keep them here, but that could be wrong. They are getting ready to come after them, and they want them all. But why not export them out? If they don't want them here, why wouldn't they let them go out of the country, right? They're essentially saying that it might go to entities or bad people. Or did they find out that a bunch of the weapons that are being used are our own, and they're getting caught right now, so they're doing this? Sounds strange, says Sean C. Julie Pilkerton, huge boom near my house. Well, be careful, anybody out there. Don't be afraid, but be careful. They are exporting them out, says Chris Mitchell.
It also says that the export licenses for UKR and Israel are going to be exempted, so they can still export to those two countries. And
but it says that government can do it.
Yeah, government can do it. Government officials, if they need it exported, they can do it. But they're basically saying, hey, Colt, you can't ship a whole bunch of rifles to this other country to be sold at the firearms dealer in that other country anymore. You have to hold them here for 90 days. We're not going to allow you to do that anymore. Or Smith & Wesson, or insert your favorite gun brand here.
Dex, could you spend a second and look what happened during World War I and World War II? Didn't they, even at one point during former or past world wars, didn't we use different money because they needed the metals for weapons and ammunition and things like that? Didn't we, the reason the 1964 quarter is silver is because they had to use that for something, right? Or I'm totally off? In previous times, they've done like stuff like this.
Well, yeah, we've done things along the lines of redirecting manufacturing and hoarding or holding back on materials that were needed to produce specific products for the military. Yes. I don't know that they look at these civilian products as military products. So I'm not sure that that's what it fits, but I think they're seeing a serious threat. And for them to put a temporary 90-day hold means they're trying to patch. They're trying to put a bandage over a bleed out that's happening, and whatever that is probably really bad for them to jump up and do this in a hurry. Again, it doesn't affect us here. It's not like a lot of people can jump to the conclusion, oh well, the thing that just happened with Card, that's what they're doing. This has nothing to do with us here in the States, and everything to do with the companies that sell the stuff that's made here and sending it to other countries.
Yeah, so that's more, they are trying to keep it here for 90 days. Take whatever conclusion you want out of it. I'm taking mine. I feel like there's something doesn't sit right about that halt. Okay, that's just me. And then Putin accused of forming axis of terror after inviting us and Iran leaders to Moscow. Essentially, they are saying that he is forming a new axis of terror against the West. So there's going to be words. There's going to be the official narrative of this is most likely going to be that he is telling them to do bad things and that things are going to happen to the West. In general, I think people should really be head on a swivel times 10 right now, but don't be afraid to live your life. Don't be afraid to do the things that you do. And like I've said before, in fact, the night before this all happened, if you are out in public, which you should go to all the places you normally go to, don't stop going bowling because of this thing. Go, but also be aware of your surroundings. Know your exits. Briefly scan the exit board. There's always a picture in every commercial building that shows you the exits. If there's an exit that's hidden, it shows it on that board. Always look, is there metal tables in the cafe you're sitting at? Be able to flip that over in a hot second and use it to defend yourself. Is there metal chairs? Know that you can pick that up and hit somebody with it. These are things that you don't have to sit there and scan. Once you kind of learn a couple things that you should look for, then your brain does it for you. It's subconscious and you don't have to worry about it. People should always do this. And again, it doesn't mean you're going to sit there scared of everything. In fact, quite the opposite. You're going to walk right into anything and everything, and you're going to look at that and scan it for different things in different ways. Once your brain does it by subconscious, because these are actual tips that come from a whole video we put together using the actual professional training for if you are in an event like that. And there's a lot of great things that some are common sense, but some are like, well, these are things that you just need to put into your rhythm and make a habit. And once they're habit, you can't not do it. Any military will tell you they walk in and they'll see different parts. They'll know their exits. They know. I'm sure that's second nature to them at that point. They don't think about it. They just scan it and they go boom, boom, boom. They know all of their exits. They know what they can use around them if they needed to go get cover. If they need to find a hiding spot, they know where to go. So these are all things that you should just think about. It's general prep. It's just part of the lifestyle of learning how to survive. And most things are survivable. That's why people think it's doom, doom, doom. It shouldn't be doom. This shouldn't be doom and gloom. This should be keeping track of what's happening and being prepared for what happens next. Almost all of us go through an extreme event in our lifetime. Some of us choose to be ready for those events. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, we're going to be heading over to our regular programming over on Marfoogle TV. So if you haven't joined us for a live show over there, it's going to be more expansive. Make sure to hop over there when you can. And if you want to search this channel, make sure you are searching on YouTube at MFN. If you actually put the @ sign and MFN, you will find this channel 100% of the time on YouTube. That is our actual @ sign. That's our tag on YouTube. Very lucky to get it, actually, at MFN. If you type in 3 letters after the @ sign, you will find us, because it's becoming harder and harder to find this channel. So if you guys start doing that, then it will also help pop that up into search as well. So just a reminder, and then make sure to go to marfooglenews.com if you want all of the sources. And again, thank you to all of the people that support us. We're completely independent. We're on our own. We defend ourselves. Go to marfooglenews.com/PayPal if you want to help. Thanks again to Linda S., Dawn D., Jacqueline L., Dean G., Jeff B., Lisa H., Sheila B., Tony D., and Joanna H. Thank you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
The White House knows what goes around comes around. Fly on the wall in the White House knows it's coming and it's going down. Fly on the wall in the White House knows what goes around.
This is the thumbnail to look for on the other channel. If you're in chat, you can stay right there. You're going to be ported right over.